Hello and welcome, my name is Trenton Hoshiko, and today's video is going to be a little different than normal because I'm going to talk about something that bugs me to no end. Okay, starting off, I want to make sure everybody understands that I understand that this is part of a larger conversation, a much larger conversation actually, and this is just one smaller aspect of it. When making YouTube titles, the algorithm, the search, keeping up with the Joneses, and a myriad of other factors all make it seem like the best way to title things is you need X, or why you must be doing Y. And it's just not realistic. And honestly, that sucks. I probably will receive less traffic by avoiding it as best as I can. I really find that those kinds of angles being promoted skew how people use tools and receive information. And that sucks. And it's bad for everybody. If I make a YouTube video and I call it why you must use this technique or why you must use this piece of equipment in the title itself, then the viewer is at risk to already be primed, especially somebody who might have less experience to start with, to read that as a generalized recommendation that whatever they're working on will instantly be better, but it doesn't have the context to what they are working on. But let's get more specific to show what I mean. If the video I'm making is called Why You Must Use Soft Light, then someone who has a story that's better told with hard light and harsh shadows runs the risk of changing their entire look to fit what my video suggested to get clicks. Even if the video itself is just a guide on how to make soft light and I don't say it directly, the implied value from the title alone affects how the information is internalized by the viewer. Furthermore, if someone is looking for a video on how to make soft light and they find my video with that title, it might make the impression that soft light is somehow inherently superior. Or if someone is looking for info on how to use hard light and they find my video, they might be struck by the implication that soft light is superior and change their look. And as somebody who's supposed to be educating the audience, I don't like either of those options. Take an example. I mean, if you think about a noir film and the distinctive low-key, hard light and sharp shadow style elements, and then you try to tell that same story with soft light because it's better, then the imagery at its core is now completely different. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, depending on the story you're trying to tell and the goals that you have, but what you're making would be instantly less of or not a noir genre film anymore. There is a caveat here that sometimes things are legitimately safety tools or best practices. Those can have a more generalized advice angle, but anything that should be determined by the context within your project, like its style or gear usage, should not be getting the keeping up with the Joneses treatment. So with that all being said, how do I, Trenton, avoid that? Well, first off, I try not to start any technique or equipment video's concept from the point of view that there is one singular right way to do something creative, much less that I personally hold the key to the only correct way. That just isn't true, and I'm always hesitant of any media that goes in that direction. Secondly, when I work on a YouTube title, I go from a customer-driven angle, meaning that if I was someone searching for information on maybe a light that I'd want to learn more about, I want to learn about its features. But more importantly, I want to know how it looks. And I don't want to just hear someone say, yeah, this light's the best. Same thing for if I was researching a soft lighting technique. I want to see someone explain the process and then show me examples, not tell me it is immediately the best for whatever reason that is not contextual to my project. Something like cheap soft light is going to be more descriptive, more useful, and more actionable of a title for nearly all viewers over something like why soft light is the best technique you don't know about, which misses the context of how micro-budget filmmakers need to work. And that brings me to my last point. Budget is the first order of business, but context is king for everything else afterwards. The way I work and the way I try to frame things for my collaborators and my YouTube audience is that when I post a soft lighting tutorial, I want people to find it because they want to explore using soft light, or because they like how I explain things and they are curious about my thoughts on how to create soft light. The same thing goes for hard light or any other technique or a setup or a piece of equipment. And I want them to weigh that information against the story that they are trying to tell and the context that they have to support. And that includes the context of their budget. This is why broader cinematography and storytelling education is important, reaching beyond those individual techniques and those individual pieces of equipment. The why of choosing a lighting style, the why of planning a camera move. I can talk all day about camera moves that look great to me, but nothing ever truly looks great when it doesn't fit with the rest of the pieces of the puzzle, and storytelling is a giant puzzle. This also means that you can look for concepts that are maybe fitting your story, but outside of your budget, and have them as inspirations, and then you can try to fit them, scaled down, within your resources. And for me personally, this is part of the fun of talking about micro-budget filmmaking in the first place. A lot of people out there are student filmmakers, hobbyist filmmakers, or amateur filmmakers, or maybe they're looking to become professionals, or maybe they're professionals who are working within a lot of budget constraints. I find myself mostly in the last group, working largely in advertising media and documentary films. So then we ask ourselves what the budget for our project is, and then we have that context in the back of our minds when we start to then plan. How do you get as close to what you need to tell your story within the budget, tools, and time that you do have? Well, certainly what you don't need is some YouTube title or opinion telling you to abandon your context or your budget or your story or your equipment that you already have just so that I can get clicks on a video. That's silly. Instead, let's talk about tools and techniques and when they can be used and why they can be used for various effects. And then you can put them together for how your story needs them to be. Well, that about wraps it up. If you like what I've been discussing here, please leave a comment down below to let me know your thoughts. And please give the video a like to help me with the YouTube algorithm. It really does help out a lot. And you can subscribe for upcoming videos about tools and techniques for lighting, cinematography, and micro-budget filmmaking in general. I know that this video was a bit different than the others that I usually make, but I do hope that it gives insight into the care I have when framing these videos. I care much more about a video being useful and educational for the viewer rather than getting all of the clicks in the entire world. If you want to support this video series, you can find me at patreon.com/TrentonHoshiko, ko-fi.com/TrentonHoshiko, or buymeacoffee.com/TrentonHoshiko. I'm also on all sorts of social media websites, and you can see pictures of my pets. Yeah, come see the pictures. You can find me at twitter.com/Trenton_Hoshiko, my Mastodon, hey.cafe, cinematography Pinterest, and filmmaking Tumblr links are also all in the video's description. I hope that you have a very good day, and remember to do something kind for someone this week.